excuse me. Oh, wait, I'm trying to... I can't get it. You move out the way. Hello. Right, I'm still having immense trouble. We've managed to get the gorilla down here. I could barely get to my drink. I'm trying to... Excuse me. Can you get out of the way, please? Oh, honestly. Sometimes these animals... I mean, some of these things up here, right, they were quite small, all right? And I'm pleased we had small things. It wasn't until giant things like gorillas started appearing that I had problems. Well, welcome to Poems with PJ, everybody. Welcome to day 24. I'm under all sorts of stress here. And today's show has a bit of a theme. Yes, today, two of the poems that we're using are using a very special poetic technique called alliteration, which is quite cool. Now, alliteration is where all sorts of words come together and they've got the same start of sentences. So, alliteration is fabulously fantastic. It's a big, bad bowl of brilliant. In fact, if you've got the time, alliteration is wonderfully wacky. It's a warm-hearted wonder in a wibbly world of wobbly words. Yes, alliteration. That's what today's show is all about. So your job today is to spot every time that we start a word with the same letter one after the other, or the same sound one after the other, to give it a bit of an effect. And our first poem today is one of mine, and it's called Bibbly Bob. Right. Now, Bibbly Bob is an imagined character, and I've imagined what Bibbly Bob looks like, but maybe you should imagine what Bibbly Bob looks like as well. And I'd love it if everybody had their own version of Bibbly Bob, and maybe we could have pictures of Bibbly Bob that you send into the show as well. So maybe you could work out what you think Bibbly Bob looks like. I'll tell you the words, and then maybe you can have a think. Bibbly Bob was a bubbly boo, bibbing and bobbing, like all bubbles do. He walloped and dolloped and bounced all around with billowing bellows and bubbling sounds. But one day, he bibbled and bubbled too high, a bobbing balloon blowing into the sky. So bubbles, beware. When your bibbles go bop, you may find your bobbling comes to a stop. And boom! All your bubbles will fall on the floor. And like our poor Bob, you will bubble no more. It's quite a sad story, really, if you think about it. Poor old Bibbly Bob has bubbled too high and his bibbles went bop. All right? Now, I don't know if your bibbles have ever gone bop, but when my bibbles go bop, I definitely bubble on the floor. And that was another poem that shows alliteration. So you notice Bibbly Bob was a bubbly boo. All of those B words at the beginning make that and it makes it sound really cool in our heads. That's what alliteration is. And alliteration is a really fabulous poetic tool that lots of poets use all over the place. Now, talking of fabulous poets, our featured poet today is somebody who I had the pleasure of working with once. It's a lady called Francesca Beard. Right? She's a brilliant poet and she loves to write for children. And in particular, she loves to write from a child's point of view. Sometimes she writes poems as if she was the child in the poem. She has, and this is a book I've used before, Michael Rosen's A to Z of Poetry. I think we've used it a few times. Well, she's got a couple of poems in here, and there's one of them that I thought was perfect for the lockdown, because I bet you've probably got younger brothers and sisters, or you might be the younger brother and sister. And I'm almost certain that there has been a time where your younger brother or sister has had a tantrum. Oh, and I'm talking a proper tantrum. I'm talking about a rolling on the floor, beating your hands on the floor and screaming as loud as you possibly can and tearing and biting and doing all the other things that people have when they have a tantrum. Well, this poem is just called Grrr. If you smile, then I will glare. If you're sad, then I don't care. If you tell me I've been bad, I will say, oh good, I'm glad. I don't want to, I don't like you, don't touch me, I'll bite you. If you try to calm me down, I will roll on the ground. If you try to make me stop, I will scream until I pop. If you shh me, I will yell and yell and yell and yell and yell. I don't want to, I don't like you, if you touch me, I will bite you. If you try to make me eat, I will spit my food on the floor. If you try to make me sleep, I'll bang my head against the door. If you sing a lullaby, I'll join in the key of why. I don't want to. I don't like you. If you touch me, I will bite you. I'm the worst there's ever been. I'm the worst there's ever seen. I'm a single-handed riot. Now I'm ready to be quiet. And that's it. Tantrums, grrr, as they say. Tantrums, they start and finish just like that. Sometimes when people have tantrums, they can go, rah, 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 ooh, ice cream. And that's possibly what you're like at home. If you've got somebody who's having a tantrum at home, just take a big deep breath. And remember, they will stop at some point or another. Because they'll either run out of steam and fall asleep, or their voice will just disappear eventually and they'll have nothing left. So that was called Grr, and it's by Francesca Beard. You can find it in Michael Rosen's A to Z of Poetry, or if you go to Francesca's website, look her up on Google. She has got some brilliant poems from children, and I worked with her when we were working with the National Literacy Trust, and she's done loads of great work with them as well. Now, talking of people that have done great work, you have been busy, and I have been scouring the internet and receiving your emails. So there's lots of things that have come in. And I found a brilliant poem early on by Beatrix. Now, Beatrix, you've done this poem, and it's about the coronavirus and about the lockdown and everything. But you've written something so beautiful and really, really well rhymed as well. And it's called The Day the World Stopped. Because that's kind of what it was like, wasn't it? Somebody just went, no, we're going to stop doing all of the things. And it's like somebody pressed a button and all our lives got put on hold. So this is called The Day the World Stopped. This is Beatrix's poem. I will remember the day the world stopped. We were told to expect it, but my heart still dropped. Missing friends and family for most of the year. We had no choice, and it filled me with fear. We must keep our distance to stop the spread. 2 meters is what the government said. Wash your hands, keep them clean to stay safe from coronavirus, COVID-19. Though these are such nasty bugs, there currently aren't any drugs. While scientists work to find vaccinations, doctors have a constant flow of patients. Thursdays at 8, we clap for the NHS, wishing them lots and lots of success, as all key workers risk their lives to make sure the human race survives. Windows decorated with rainbows of hope, showing that somehow we will cope. And if our spirits can stay high, then maybe through this we can fly. And when we come out on the other side, life will be a smoother ride. We'll appreciate the little things, like being together and the joy that brings. Beatrix, you have written an absolutely fantastic poem there. And that last verse where you say, we appreciate the little things. There's so many little things that I think of that I really want to go and do. Like going to a park and having an ice cream from the ice cream van in the park, or going to the beach and making sandcastles and hearing the waves and hearing all the crowds of people getting along. Going to football matches and seeing my team play. All of those things. We'll appreciate those little things even more when we're allowed to do them again. What a brilliant poem. Thank you so much, Beatrix. Please keep writing poetry and please send us your poems as much as you can. Now, this next one is by Amy. Now, Amy's got in contact with the show because she watched something just yesterday on the BBC. They were doing a poetry writing exercise, which was absolutely fantastic. Now, Amy, I can only apologise because my printer is out of colour ink at the moment. So we've printed out your thing. But actually, I think it's made your poem, I think it's made it a little bit darker because your colourful, bright blue picture you wrote about the sea, okay, has come out very grey and very stormy. All right, and that's because we've actually run out of colour ink. But I think actually it's made it a different kind of picture. And when we listen to your poem, we'll have a look at your picture again in a moment. When we listen to your poem, right, you can hear that actually it sounds a little bit like a stormy sea. She's written this poem and it's called The Wave. When the mountain of water crashed down to the ground, a deafening sound was all around. Crashing and bashing, twisting and turning, like a dancer twirling. The sea was rough and the storm was tough, The foam was like a bubble bath making a path. The monstrous sea could take a ship and take it down with one single grip. Now all is calm, so rest your palm. Whatever happened in the sea, it's time for a cup of tea. Now, I saved that one for today. You wrote that yesterday. I saved that for today because today is National Tea Day. I bet you didn't know that, did you? Today is National Tea Day, where everybody has to drink as much tea as they can. And all of you children at home, I think today is definitely the day that you need to learn to make a cup of tea for all of the parents and carers at home. All right? I reckon you need to go to them and say, how do I learn how to make you a cup of tea? All right? And then they'll be able to say, bring me a cup of tea, and you'll be able to make them a cup of tea. Right? And Amy has done, you might be able to see this in her picture, she's done a cup of tea on the sea. All right? Tea on the sea, that's what we want. All right? More sea, more tea. Thank you so much, Amy, for sending us that picture and that poem. It was absolutely brilliant. And please do keep sending your poems to us, either on through the Facebook page or to www.pauljenkinspoet.com. .co.uk, apologies. And of course, you can send them to pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com. There are lots of ways you can get in contact with us. Now, we write poems about things big and small. And you, Mr. Gorilla, all right, you are the biggest animal that we have had so far, aren't you? Yes. And you were a massive pain in the neck. And you were... What is it? You didn't tell me there was somebody bigger. Oh, my God. We've got a heffalump today. An absolutely massive heffalump. A big... How big are you? You're big. How big is he? Really big? What? No. But really, describe him to me. How big is he? Oh, really, really big. Is there not another word you could use? What was that? A thesaurus, he's saying. What's a thesaurus? Oh, it's one of those books that you go to and you look up in a book and it tells you all the meanings of words. What do you mean they've got a posh name? Synonyms. Ooh, synonyms. Oh, I've written a poem about synonyms and about elephants as well. Maybe I should share that poem about elephants and where's the best place to put an elephant? I've never had an elephant. I've never shared a stage with an elephant before. It is your fault. You started the thing with the big animals. I'm watching out for you. Nobody's come up with a name for the gorilla yet. He's just the annoying gorilla as far as... Don't you join in with him. Right. This one is called My Elephant Swallowed a Thesaurus. And you did. Elephants are bulky. They're burly. They're colossal, enormous and gigantic. Heavyweight, hefty, huge creatures with immense ears. Jumbos, mammoths, massive monsters with strapping, substantial, super thundering thighs and tremendous, vast, walloping feet. They're whoppers, great whopping things. And then my thesaurus ran out of words. Because that's all the words that I could think of to do with big. What do you think, Mr. Elephant? Was that suitably good for you? Yes, I think it was. Well, our elephant will have to join somewhere. I think you're going to have to sit on the back of the chair. All right, so we'll find a place for you, and we'll find a place for all of your pictures and all of your poems. Please do send us more poems to www.pauljenkinspoet@gmail.com. All right, was that the right email address? Yes, I think it was. Absolutely. Right. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. And we will find out all the new things, and I'm sure there will be a small animal to join us tomorrow. See you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.